So I sat there with my wife. It was 2007 heading into 2008. And while most individuals celebrated the dawn of a new year, New Year's Eve, this is celebration time, my friends. You've had that experience. Maybe you're in New York. Maybe you were somewhere else. Maybe you're watching on television. You went out with your friends. I don't know what you do on New Year's. But in 2007, at that particular New Year's, I laid there that night. My wife sat up with the moon shining through the shades at our house, a house that we had always dreamed of having, a house that I would lose 3 months, 4 months later. And with tears pouring down her cheeks, she said, "Fix it. I didn't sign up for this shit. Fix it." And it was followed by one simple phrase: just be the man. Little did I realize that that question itself would spark a revolution inside my own mind, that I would become an individual who was clueless about what this actually meant. Be the man, she said. The years would pour on as I sought for this answer from 2007, heading clear into 2010 until it all started to make sense. What I didn't understand, though, was that the sedation and the disconnection and the dysfunction that we see in today's marketplace, in today's society, globally, from divorces running rampant to dysfunction with diabetes, to families that are separated, disconnected, and everybody making love to their goddamn cell phones, and yet sitting right there are their children that they push off for another Facebook post. It doesn't fucking matter. Men who are in this county where I live, in Orange County, California, who think that marriage by the time they're 35, 36 makes sense. The onset of Tinder and Bumble and all of these software tools that allow individuals to literally not fucking grow up. What does it mean to be a man? Does it mean I'm a man if I take a stand like I see in the hip-hop videos? Does it mean I'm a man if I button myself up with my tie and my suit and I go to church and I say, "Hello, brother"? What exactly does it mean to be the man? Now, I didn't know. I didn't have any examples. I had a father who wasn't around. I had a grandfather who was in the military for 30 plus years. And that grandfather in the military for 30 plus years was a fucking beacon of what it was to be a stoic man. And then I had my father on the opposite end of the spectrum, who was just a man who was scared and terrified and couldn't be found to give me any sort of plan. And so I searched, and what I found was this gap in between these two worlds. Over here on one side, we have this new age pussy. This guy who just kind of looked up to the sky and said, "Everything's going to be okay, and then I'll die. Everything's okay. It's all right. It's all the way it's supposed to be. I'm okay. You're okay." And I was like, listen, I can appreciate that side. There's some beauty inside of that place. But then there was this other place, and this was a place I had become more comfortable with as a banker. This is a part in which you just say, "Fuck you," and you go get shit done. You're an overbearing asshole. Over here, you abuse and misuse women. Over here on this side, you get steamrolled by women. You typically get up with a woman who has bigger balls than you do. Now, we have countries and societies filled with men confused. Do I become a guy who actually hooks up with a dude, aka my wife, who actually has bigger balls than me? Or do I become the overbearing guy who just steamrolls everything in sight? Inside of this place, I knew there had to be a way, because this itself had become a dysfunctional way. In order to understand how we always get to where we are, we've got to sometimes go back to where we came from. And so I started studying and reading and pondering, searching for answers, and I went back into history. What I found inside of this historical journey was something I was not expecting to find. I was not expecting to find the following, and that was the painful reality that not only did I not have an answer, but the answer didn't exist. There was nobody, nowhere I went, where anyone had actually taken a stand to define what it was to be a man. There were churches that were talking about it. There were personal development trainers who would speak to some ideas. There were camps for men and projects and organizations who were attempting to solve this. But at the end of the day, there was no plan for me to be a man. I didn't have a plan. My father had no plan. My grandfather had no plan. They all lived parts of the plan. I wanted the whole plan, but it was going to require me to take a stand. And that stand began with this, which is a complete rejection of everything that I knew. A willingness to start over brand new. A willingness to see that if something didn't change inside of me, that my entire family and that family tree would never, ever become to be anything more than what I could already see. I had to change. But I also had to understand how I was fucked before I'd ever been born. And how most men never had a shot never had a shot. This requires us to go back. We're going to go back and take our first pit stop here into the systematic sedation of men. And that first pit stop is to look at a rift. See, a rift is when something is moving along. And Sir Isaac Newton said in the first law of physics that an object will stay in motion at the same speed, same direction, until acted upon by an outside force. I had been acted upon by an outside force. The crumble of the banking industry, my world was exposed. Financially, spiritually, socially, sexually, inside of my marriage, my life was exposed for what it was, which was a hollow game. Something looked beautiful on the outside, but on the inside, something that had dysfunctionally fallen apart. And so this idea of systematic sedation, look at the two words here, systematically. This didn't happen overnight. I didn't end up where I was overnight. This game of systematic sedation says that there was literally a line and a sequence I'm going to help you find that led to the sedation of men. Systematic meaning it was planned, it was laid out, rift by rift, shift by shift until we got to what we see today, which is a man who has no idea how to stand or even any type of way.